a slightly ugly car park has turned into the most beautiful reception area with billowing tents, and it's this amazing transformation. And that's, for me, what we see with students in difficulty. We help a student and they transform suddenly into somebody who you want to be your doctor. And that is, for me, the most amazing outcome of supporting students in difficulty. And that is the thing that's very hard to capture and very important, I think, for us to try and capture. And how might it be delivered? Well, we talked about it being holistic and individualised, and that's, for me, exceptionally important. And there's a beautiful paper, a beautiful, very nice, descriptive, qualitative paper from South Africa, from this chap, Mpo Jama, who highlights the complex web of challenges, and that each student in difficulty had a different complex web of challenges that they faced, which I thought was a wonderful turn of phrase. One word on stigma. A few of the papers in the literature talked about the stigma of being referred for academic support, for remediation. Students talked about worrying about a black mark against their name. There was a considerable discussion about the stigma of mental health issues and illness. Marc Chapuis de Santage used to stand up and say, as one of the best known depressives in medical education, he used to once a year or twice a year run a dinner where students and staff, lunch in fact, students and staff were invited to, if they had ever seen a psychiatrist, ever had a mental health diagnosis, or ever taken therapeutic psychiatric drugs. And it wasn't never talked about mental health, just invited students and staff, and there was a busy lunch. And it was just nice to see so many people. It was very interesting, trying to destigmatise them. And I think a lot of what we saw with the Minister for Health was her trying to destigmatise. Actually, yes, we struggled. That's normal, that's part of learning. That's nothing stigmatising, and it doesn't give you a black mark. And the final area that we need to keep in mind is partnership with students. If we want to empower students, if we don't want them to become dependent on us, then we need to work in partnership with them rather than tell them what to do. And we need to slowly step back as the students gain more autonomy. So, finally, what was the thing that upset me? What was the thing that made me reflect? I suppose back in 99 or 2000, when I met Marc Chapuis de Santage, he changed the way I thought about struggling students, from them being a problem to actually them being really a positive thing, and helping them being really important. And I read another paper which made such a big step on me. We talked about the struggling students and the us and them. And there's this lovely quote. Often it's not we who shape words, but words we use that shape us. And sometimes the language that we use changes the way that we think. And Benyon wrote a very recent conversational article. He's contradictory and in some places a bit inflammatory, and in some criticised, in fact, one of our papers, but made me think a lot. He argues that the traditional finding a diagnosis and providing treatment view of remediation is problematic. He argues that that hints that there is some deficit that there is something missing from these students, that they are somehow different and unique and need something to be fixed. And he goes on to say that if you look at sportsmen, athletes, and I'm going to do something dangerous and try and talk about cricket in Pakistan, and I know nothing about cricket, but actually, if you look at something like cricket, you might have a cricketer who's very good at bowling and very good at fielding, but not so good at batting. You wouldn't say they were a failing cricketer. You wouldn't say they're a cricketer in difficulty. You wouldn't say you need some remedial work. You would review their past batting performance, you would look back at exactly what they did, and you would come up with some exercises to coach them to improve in that area. And what Benyon argues is that actually we may well, by talking about you're a failing student, you're struggling, be disempowering these gifted individuals who have areas of strength and areas of weakness. Made me stop and think, and I haven't finished thinking about that, but I wanted to share that with you. So in conclusion, perhaps everybody struggles at one time or another. Perhaps we're all struggling in one way or another right now. Perhaps we should see students as junior colleagues, and they're running into difficulties from time to time just as we have. And perhaps we have a little more experience because we've made those mistakes ourselves to help them to identify what the issues are and how to overcome them. And perhaps at its fundamental, most basic level, struggling and overcoming those difficulties is exactly what learning is, and helping people overcome difficulties is exactly what teaching is.